Why I'm in a bowling alley? Well, this story and strategy started right here in a bowling alley between a mentor and a mentee. I'm going to go somewhere a little bit quieter, but I wanted you to get a flavor of where this story took place and the impact that it had throughout the year. So we stepped out of the bowling alley to have it a little bit quieter because I really want to stress this strategy about mentoring, because traditionally when a new or novice teacher is assigned a mentor, the first meeting is pretty formal. It's schedule a meeting, sit down, spend time reviewing tasks and responsibilities, fill out forms or complete paperwork. And what usually happens is the new educator becomes overwhelmed with all of this information up front at the first meeting. Well, this story is a little bit different. It's about Kevin, who's a veteran teacher, and he spent over 7 years as a 4th grade teacher, and he was in my school, and he approached me and asked to step up and be considered for a mentor. With his background and experience and enthusiasm, I felt Kevin's a natural fit. So over the summer, Kevin asked me, can I try something different with my mentee to really show him our school spirit? And I knew with his history of motivating others and his really fun personality, whatever Kevin had up his sleeve was going to benefit that new teacher. So I replied enthusiastically, yes. And Kevin quickly reached out to his mentee, and that mentee's name was Brian. Brian, he wrote to him, and I remember the email that he sent him. Brian, I look forward to meeting you. Leave the formalities for later. No need for paperwork at our first meeting. All you need is to know your shoe size so we can get the proper bowling shoes for our first meeting. And he signed it, Ernie McCracken. And if you don't know who Ernie McCracken is, that's Bill Murray's character from Kingpin. It's pretty funny, and it's a bowling movie. Kevin actually was pleasantly surprised when the reply came in from Brian, and it came back with Ernie. He addressed it to Ernie. Ernie, bring it, Roy Munson. Now, Roy Munson is the star of that movie, played by Woody Harrelson, who bowls against Ernie. So it was a fun exchange right from the start. So Kevin and Brian met at the bowling lanes, and they got fitted for the shoes, and Kevin handed Brian the mentor bowling rules. Brian looked quickly and said, what are these? He didn't understand. Kevin said something like, we're not going to bowl to win or play a game against each other. We came here to get to know each other. And on the card was a list of possible questions to spark conversations between the two. I remember the questions were open-ended and just a way to get to know each other. And the rules of the game were very simple. One, you bowl one frame at a time. So one game, 2 shots each. The winner of that one frame got to ask the other person a question. Now, if it was a tie, they each asked each other a question. And if you happen to win 2 games in a row, the winner had to bowl the next game with their left hand to make it even harder, or their non-dominant hand, whatever that is. Because you don't want the one person to win all the games and ask all the questions. And it would be funny to see somebody bowl with their non-dominant hand, because the game was more about connections and collaboration than about who's going to win the game. I remember Kevin coming back from that bowling day and telling me that they got to know each other. They built a great connection, and a bond was built between Kevin and Brian, and it was built over questions and the smell of oil at the bowling lanes, and that lasted all year long. And those laughs became a bond that was built that allowed Brian to take in feedback or criticism, and it was built at the bowling lanes over conversation. So this lead forward strategy is be creative on your first meeting with your mentee. So this lead forward strategy is be creative in your first meeting. Conversations before orientation. Before you can orientate your mentee to the formality of teaching, have a conversation. It doesn't have to be at the bowling alley like Kevin, but it could be casual. Start with getting to know your mentee, to talk about themselves, but also get that time to learn about him or her, and start with them some questions like, what is the strength of yours? What do you want from me in communication? How do you want us to communicate? How do you describe yourself? And what do you want to get out of this mentor-mentee experience? And what are you passionate about? Another fun idea is the school procedure challenge. Too many mentor programs never entertain the idea of having fun in the process. School is always very serious and data-driven, and evaluations and lesson planning, and they take the forefront. Very important, but nonetheless, even the most formal programs can reap benefits by allowing mentees to have fun and joy in the process. So part of every mentor program is a checklist, and usually on that checklist is take a tour of the building, and that seems pretty obvious. But one of the things I was thinking about is, just like in the old saying, you give a man a fish, he will eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Well, let your mentee find some of the places or areas in the school themselves. Even better, team them up with some mentors and mentees in a different group. It could be a challenge. Maybe take a selfie in the cafeteria or the gym or the music room, or make a map, like an old treasure map of the fire drill route to get out of your classroom, or make a video of the playground rules and arrival rules for your families, more like a public service announcements. They could make a graph of how long it takes to walk or even run to the closest bathroom to your class. Make a photocopy of their hand so that they know how to use the copier. Maybe even write a note to it and fax it to you so they know how to use the fax through the email. Find the supply room. Everyone needs to know where that is. And then make a list in Google Drive or whatever cloud tool you use and share it to you as the mentor, their 5 favorite tools. A way to get to know both where the supply room is and how to use the online tools. So this strategy is about building collaboration through creativity. And that creativity will ultimately lead to a rich mentor-mentee experience. So communication before orientation, and that bond and that connection will help you support your mentee through feedback, through relationships, and through ongoing conversations and collaborations.